Hello, my name is Raymond Massey, Regional Sales Manager for Schwarze Industries. Today we're going to give you a product walk around on the Schwarze A7 Tornado Regenerative Air Street Sweeper. Our goal is on these walk arounds is we want to be very consistent whether a regional manager is in attendance or whether the dealer themselves are doing the walk around. We always start at the left front tire and then move our way around the sweeper, going through feature, benefits, and advantage of the various components of the sweeper itself. To start, we're going to start with the chassis. The chassis on this machine is a Freightliner M2 conventional. It's equipped with a Allison 2500 RDS transmission, a Cummins 200 horse diesel engine, and it's got a single speed rear axle. It's a 33,000 GVW truck, so it does require a CDL to operate. As for other chassis, we can also utilize an international conventional cab chassis. We can use a Peterbilt or a Kenworth cab over, as well as an Autocar cab over. There are various chassis that we can utilize depending on what your requirements are within your city or your contractor fleet department. Some of the creature comforts of the cab. First of all, we've got remote control heated West Coast mirrors that are standard. We've got parabolic mirrors up on the front of the hood. These can either be 6-inch or, as this one's equipped with the optional 12-inch parabolic mirrors. That is standard equipment. Inside the cab, we've got dual air ride seats with lumbar support with a Cordura nylon material. We've got air conditioning. We've got dual steering with controls, gauge packages on either side. We've got AM/FM radio with Bluetooth. Bluetooth's very important. That way your operator is meeting all CDL requirements. Power windows, door locks as well. Inside the cab, we've got our control system. The control system, first of all, it's centrally located where it's accessible from either driving station. It also rotates right to left. Okay? This particular machine is a Tier 3 machine. Goes to our military. It's got an analog system control with a full gauge package. The Tier 4 system is going to have the LCD screen that has all your gauge package. Basically, your gauge package is all done digitally. Okay. It's going to have all the water system functions, hydraulic functions, lighting functions. It's going to have a sweep standby switch to allow one-button operation. It's going to have gutter broom variable speed controls. As well as hour meters for the right gutter broom, the left gutter broom, the sweeping head, each water pump, the auxiliary engine, and the chassis. The hour meters for each gutter broom, the sweeping head, and the water pump are also resettable. It allows you to, from a fleet standpoint, they can monitor the usage of the brooms to make sure they're getting the right time out of the brooms, sweeping head, rubbers as well. Moving past the chassis, we come to the electrical system. The electrical system of the chassis and the sweeper are shared by both engines. 850 cold cranking amp batteries is pretty much the norm, no matter which chassis manufacturer that has supplied the truck. From a fuel tank perspective, we've got a 50-gallon fuel tank, which is also shared by both engines. Now, depending on the wheelbase configuration, this fuel tank can be located in different positions. With this being the 184-inch wheelbase chassis, the fuel tank is going to be up under the cab, but the gutter brooms move a little farther back. For the 164 wheelbase sweeper, which can be utilized in both the A7 and the A9, that fuel tank would come back into this section and allow the sweeper to be moved forward 20 inches to give you a much tighter turning radius to help you in cul-de-sacs and so forth, or around radiuses. The benefit to the 184 with this wider wheelbase is we've got the ability to put either an additional 355-gallon water tank on here to give you a total of 605 gallons over the standard 250, or we can put a work platform up there with rails on it to allow easier access to the top of the sweeper during maintenance. Down to the gutter brooms, got a 44-inch diameter gutter brooms. Okay, they're pressure sensing hydraulics. You've got two options with regards to down pressure. We can go with the standard spring where you adjust the down pressure on the eye bolt, or you've got the option to go into the cab and add a 4-inch air cylinder to control the down pressure pneumatically. All right. The gutter broom torque motors, which are warranted to 2 years, 2,400 hours standard, also have variable speed controls inside the cab to allow you to control the speed of the RPM of the broom independent of the auxiliary engine. 2 options are also available on the broom. One, you've got hydraulic tilt controls, and then also what we call gutter broom extension override, which is an electric linear actuator which allows you to control the lateral positioning of the broom. When I'm talking about lateral positioning, when you hit the switch for down and run for your broom's going to automatically naturally come out to that curbside work position. With the gutter broom extension override, you're able to electrically control the lateral positioning of that broom, whether to a full extension in 1 inch, 2 inches, 5 inches, or swing them all the way up in under the cab. The big advantage there is when you get to an area where you've got, say, a construction area and a lot of packed down debris, or maybe you've had a big rain event with washouts, you can bring those brooms in under the sweeper, and with the way the geometry of the broom is designed, as the brooms come in, the down pressure increases automatically. So it's agitating and breaking that material loose prior to your air blast, therefore increasing your pickup efficiency. All right. There's a light for nighttime operation. There's also 2 nozzles for dust control. There's also a 3rd nozzle tied to the left side of the front axle for the left broom and the right side of the front axle for the right broom. So when you turn on water nozzles for a broom, you're not just getting these 2, you're getting a 3rd on which that front axle, whichever side you turn on. Those nozzles under the front keep the dust from coming forward, coming up to the engine radiator, keeping your fugitive dust levels down. Okay? Up here, we've also got external dump controls. Okay, this is raise and lower your hopper, turn on your dump lights, and there's also duplicate controls inside the cab, which is, of course, is all joystick controlled off of your console. Up here to the hydraulics. The hydraulics, first of all, we've got our valve bank up here, and they're all electric over hydraulic valves. Okay, and each one of these valves has an LED DIN connector on it. So when you power a valve, that DIN connector lights up, shows that you're getting power to that valve. It's great from a troubleshooting standpoint. If you hit that left broom and it's not working, the first thing you want to check is look and see if that LED is on in that valve. If it's on, you know it's not electrical, it's a flow problem, maybe a solenoid. If that light's not on, you know it's electrical. Could be a switch, could be a loose DIN connector, could be a loose plug. So it helps you troubleshoot the system, find the problem quicker, get the machine back on the road. There's also quick disconnect test ports on each one of these valve banks. The relief pressure is set at 2,500 psi throughout the whole system. The way you check that pressure, drop the gutter broom down, hook your gauge up to it, raise the gutter broom up, let it go into relief, and it should peg out at 2,500 psi. Behind the valve bank is a 25-gallon hydraulic reservoir. It's got a temperature and sight gauge on the front of the tank. There's also a low hydraulic level indicator inside the cab built into the sweeper as standard equipment. The tank has a 10 micron spin-on filter on return. It's also got shut-off valves on each side of the filter, so when you go to change the fluid, you shut off the valves, you only lose the fluid from within that filter, not everything from the tank. All right. Now, what powers that system is a dual output hydraulic pump, and that's something that's a little different from what our competition uses. Say Timco, for example, uses a 7.9 gallon per minute pump. We use a 2-section pump with each pump has a dedicated 6.5 gallons per minute. Whereas they're splitting 7.9 gallons over 2 gutter brooms, we're giving each gutter broom a dedicated 6.5 gallons. Therefore, we've got more digging power and less chance of stalling and when you get in really heavy debris. Okay, that is a big advantage right there. Water tank, it's 250 gallons is the standard water tank snaking down through this power module. There's a 100-gallon tank on top connecting down to a 150-gallon tank. So it's 250 gallons. Our competitors, Timco's 220 gallons, LG's is 240 gallons. Of course, we can add the additional 355, taking us up to 605 gallons. All right. Coming back to the fan housing. The fan housing, first of all, is constructed of abrasion-resistant steel. All right. It's also got a replaceable wear liner in it held in by these elevator bolts that protects that housing from abrasion. All right. Inside the housing, we have our whisper wheel fan. That's our trademark name of our blower wheel. We used to use a paddle wheel type fan similar to what Timco uses, but when you go on the internet and you look at fan systems, what you'll find, it'll say the most efficient way to move high volumes of air is a closed face radial type fan with a backwards incline. It's exactly what we use. It'll say the most inefficient way is a paddle wheels type fan. That's what our competition uses. All right. What this fan does is it produces, the 5-inch fan produces right at 20,000 cubic feet of air, but the big thing it produces because of the backwards incline is a negative 67-inch water column at the hand hose. So you take that hand hose on the rear, submerge it, and it will pick water up to 67 inches. Timco will pick it up to 38 inches, and Elgin will go to 41 inches. What that equates to is more suction. We say at Schwarze all the time, if you want to pick up a brick, buy a Schwarze. That's why we can do it, is because of that fan design right there. All right. The fan is also balanced within 1.5 grams on two sides. Okay, where our competitors, Timco, balance within 4 grams on one side. Okay, this gives us a much wider power range. So if we need to run up to 2,500 RPMs because of excessively thick material, we've got the ability to do it without putting undue stress on the machine, on the bearings and the welds and so forth. All right. The fan is also constructed of hard ox steel. Okay, that hard ox steel is what gives us the ability to have a fan without any type of rubber liner on it and get the long life expectancies out of it. If you're running this machine as designed with water in the hopper, I've seen these fans last up to 4,000 hours or even more. Okay, the fan, the two other pluses to the fan is it's 70% quieter on an ambient sound scale than our competition, running at 71.3 decibels at 50 feet. That's 70% quieter. It also uses 20% less fuel than a paddle wheel type fan. So you're giving somebody a fan that's more powerful, that's quieter, and uses less fuel. So it's a win-win across the board. Coming down to the pressure bleeder is located here on the fan housing on a flat section of steel. The reason we do that is we can control this pressure bleeder from anywhere from 0 air coming out all the way up to an 80% deflection of air. Okay? The big plus to that is the more you open this up, the more of a starving effect you're creating at the suction tube. So if you're opening up this pressure bleeder, the fan's not getting the return from the regenerative air process. You're bleeding out some air. So this fan is going to go find that air. What it's going to do is it's going to go through that suction tube and it's going to start pulling forward. So the more if you open this up all the way at about 2,300 RPMs, it will literally take the two front flaps on the sweeping head and suck them flat against the top of the head. Therefore, if you encounter those big piles of leaves, pine straw, trash, you're not going to bulldoze that material in front of the head. It's going to pick it up, take it on through, and deposit it inside the hopper. Now, we do this a little different than our competition. Both of our competitors' pressure bleeders are down at the bottom of their round pressure transition. That pressure transition, if you're taking a rectangle box like Timco does, you put it up on there, you open up that door, you can only relieve up to 20% of your air. You know, and the way I explain that is the round peg doesn't fit in the square hole or vice versa. So being able to have the door up here, you're able to evacuate more air, better fine-tune your sweeper based upon the application at hand. Coming down to the pressure pressure tube, it's a 14-inch diameter pressure tube. Okay, you've got quick disconnects on it as well. So this is a two-chambered head. Okay, so the two-chambered head, what you're doing is you're bringing all your 20,000 cubic feet of air per minute down into the head, pressurizing the upper chamber, and then the air is going from the upper chamber to the lower chamber, which is to the street, through a slot that's 3/4 of an inch wide, okay, at a 45-degree angle. Basically, it's an air knife. So you're forcing that air through there at over 200 miles an hour, and that's what's going to transfer your debris in your head. Now that pressure bleeder also, that blast orifice, instead of being straight across the back of the head like our two competitors, Timco and Elgin, what it does is it's at a 3-degree angle across the middle of the head. So you're transferring debris while you're sitting still. And as you drive forward, you're moving that debris even that much faster. So that allows us to sweep faster than our competition. All right. Now the head has 2 rubber flaps in the rear, one just forward of center, and a dust flap up front. The adjustments on that head are a little bit different than our competition. What we do is we're looking for a scrape, not a drape. Where at Timco, you want that rubber flap hanging down about 2 1/4, 2.5 inches down below the head in the up position. We only want 3/8 to 1/2 of an inch. So we're looking for more of a scrape. Gives us a little bit longer flap life, sometimes up to 500, 600, even 700 hours, depending on the type of road that you're sweeping. Asphalt sweeping, they're going to last longer. Concrete, they're going to wear a little bit faster. The head is also designed in sweeping forward and reverse, okay? But you've got 2 choices on it. You can sweep in forward or reverse by pressing the SIR button in the cab, which means sweep in reverse. Or if you kick it in reverse, which is, you can have, it'll go into an auto sweep interrupt where the head will come up, gutter brooms will come up, engine RPMs will go down, you go back in drive, hit sweep, and it goes right back into the sweep mode. All right. Got dual carbide runners on here. And the carbide runners, it's a virgin carbide, not a tool carbide like our competition. And those runners on there have a 2-year, 2,000 hour prorated warranty. Moving back here, we've got a DC hydraulic pump, which will power every hydraulic function on the sweeper without the use of the auxiliary engine. So if the power unit fails, you can raise up the head, the gutter brooms get back to the shop without having to be rescued. Or if you're in an area where it's very dusty and instead of powering up the sweeper in the dusty area, you can use that DC unit to drop the head and drop it down so when you fire up, you don't produce a dust cloud. Or if you're in a dump area and it's really dusty, you can use this to go ahead and dump the hopper. It's a little slower than the direct drive pump, but it definitely can be utilized. Coming to the hopper, the A7 Tornado has an 8.4 cubic yard volumetric 7-yard usable capacity hopper. Okay, and this is a true 7-yard usable capacity hopper. Some of our competition, when they're figuring their usable capacities, what they're saying, they're utilizing the space of the dust separator in the intake in order to get their volumetric or usable capacity. We don't do that. We have a true 7-yard usable capacity hopper. The hopper tilts to a 53-degree dump angle, plus it has a 3-degree slope floor to give you a total of a 56-degree dump angle to get a good clean ejection of the debris. Now the hopper is available in 3 different steels. You can get a mild carbon steel, you can get a high-strength stainless, or you can get a 304 series stainless. Either one of the stainless are going to come with a lifetime warranty against rust and perforation. The difference between the 2 is one's magnetic, one's not magnetic. One has an upcharge a little over $7,000 and one is a little upcharge a little over $20,000. Okay. Some other features of the hopper include a corrugated sawtooth type screen. And when I talk about sawtooth, I'm talking about a screen that basically goes up and down instead of a flat screen. The big advantage to that type of screen is that you've got about 20% more screen area compared to a flat screen. If you were to flatten that screen out, it would come out about 22 inches out the back side of the sweeper. This type of screen will take longer for it to clog, therefore you have more power throughout your day sweeping. Also, we've got a self-cleaning dust separator. Every time you dump, the fine particulates that have been removed from the airstream are going to dump out with your debris, so there's no need for a cable and pulley system. And at the end of the day, when you rinse it out, you just get a hose, rinse it out, put the hopper back down, and it seals. The inspection doors, you'll notice we have 2 large inspection doors on either side of the sweeper. In fact, they're the largest inspection doors of any regenerative air sweeper manufacturer. They're here for a couple of reasons. One, the larger doors makes it easier to put bulky material inside the hopper. Also, it makes it easier to clean out. With a smaller door, to get your hose in here at the end of the day, you'll get splashback in your face. Here are the bigger doors. You can make sure you get up in nooks and crannies and clean it out. Additionally, you've got rubber seals on these doors with a latch type system that latches this door to a point that if you fill it full of water, you're not going to get a leak of liquids coming out the doors. So it seals it up tight. These latches are also adjustable, so as they wear, you can just adjust the bolt on one side to keep them good and tight. Back to the rear door, we've got a 3/4 inch dump height door with a rubber seal on it. And these rubber seals are attached to the point that once they're on, and a lot of them will go for the life of the sweeper. All right. There's also safety props for the rear door and also a safety prop for the bottom of the hopper to keep you safe if you've got to crawl up inside the hopper or underneath the hopper while it's in an up position. Back to the back of the sweeper. First of all the lighting on the sweeper, whether it's the work lights on the gutter brooms we spoke of earlier, rear dump lights, strobes up on top, high-level brake lights, alternate flashers right and left, everything are LED. We don't use any incandescent lights in that feature. We've also got various lighting options that we can do. Instead of a single strobe, we can do dual strobes, 4-corner strobes, bar lights, beacons. We can add arrow boards, whatever your particular customer requires. On the back, you'll see we've got an auxiliary hand hose on here. Got 3 different options of this hand hose. This is a spring boom hose with a Canaflex type hose on it, spring boom with a Canaflex. We also offer a power boom that can use the Canaflex hose also, or the 3/8 inch wire reinforced molded rubber heavy duty hose. Every one of the hoses are going to come with remote throttle controls, so you can control the throttle from the auxiliary engine back here, gives the operator control. That's also a safety issue right there. That way the person operating the hose has complete control. If it's a power boom, it'll have fingertip controls on the other side to raise and lower it. All right. This machine's also equipped with the hopper deluge system. Hopper deluge is the 2-inch cam lock fitting, utilizing the same water hose that we use to fill the water tanks. You can either do a 2 conical nozzle sprayer inside or a 4 conical nozzle. Either way, you're going to get a good efficient clean, reduce the overall time to clean the sweeper, putting the sweeper on the road for longer to get a longer sweeping time throughout each day. Additionally, with the way our hopper tilts to a 56-degree angle, we're getting a clean ejection of debris without the utilization of any mechanical devices inside the hopper. Timco uses a raker bar system that they drag the machine out. If you pack the material in there too tight, leaves for example, that bar will go up and down underneath the debris without pulling it out. The way that this sweeper dumps to this 56-degree angle, it's just like a dump truck. So you get a good clean ejection of your debris, okay? There's also another feature that's available that's hidden behind this hand hose, but there are 2 6-inch ports on here that allow you to add a hopper drain system. So if you filled the hopper with water during sweeping, you can release the hoses and decant the water out of the hopper without having to open the rear door, okay? We're going to move around to this side. Of course, we've got our other large inspection door that completely seals. Watertight setup. We've got our toolbox here. Toolbox is going to have your safety triangle kit, block off plate for your hand hose, your water fill hose that can also be used for your hopper deluge, as well as your hydrant wrench. Plenty of room to put a toolbox in there as well, whatever you might need for throughout your day. A water hose for washout, whatever you need. Moving on up here to the suction tube. Suction tube is a 14-inch diameter tube. You'll notice there's a quick disconnect top and bottom, okay? Most of your clogs will come at the very bottom section, so it's very easy you just use gravity. If you've got a clog on the bottom section, lower your head, take off the quick disconnect and just swing the hose out. That way you're not having to grab that hose, say on the Timco, and lift it up above your shoulders to latch it on, which can hurt your back and cause a possible workers' compensation claim. Down here we're using gravity. It's very easier not having to lift anything. But you do have a quick disconnect top and bottom, because as you change your flaps out after they've worn out, you always want to rotate this hose a quarter turn. You just hit it, knock them loose, turn it a quarter turn, tighten them right back up, okay? Now with the way the hopper tilts, also helps you out with clean out of that tube. If you do get a block off, maybe a bird's nest of sticks or mud or whatever, you can raise the hopper, put the safety props in, clean from the top side, as well as loosen the quick disconnect and clean from the bottom side in order to clean that debris out. Much easier. Up here, down here on the other side of the sweeping head, you can kind of see a little bit more kind of explanation of the dual chambered approach. Upper chamber, lower chamber, blast orifice coming across. 5 nozzles around the sweeping head. I also forgot to mention 2 nozzles inside the suction tube, right at the exit of the suction intake. We've also got 2 high volume nozzles inside of the suction intake. One here, one inboard. Those nozzles are there for 2 reasons. One, they're there, of course, to help with dust control, but they're also there to help clean that tube out. You turn that water system on, they're very high volume nozzles. They will flood that tube with about 5 gallons a minute and help flush that tube out if you get it packed with mud or dirt, okay? Up to the power unit, we got a John Deere 134 horsepower auxiliary engine. Our competitor, Timco, supplies a 99 horsepower. Elgin supplies either a 74 or 115. So we've got a 134 horsepower engine, which is going to give you a much wider power range. And believe it or not, even you compare it to the 115, the fuel usage power curves are pretty much identical. So it gives you that extra power, okay? The engines themselves have a pusher fan pushing the air through the radiator through a 10,500 BTU air-to-oil hydraulic cooler to keep your hydraulic temperatures to a minimum. Down here you see the other side of the water tank with the 2-inch fill cam lock fitting here in order to fill your water tank. Down here we have the water system. The water system uses it's an electric diaphragm type pump on it that powers all of your front spray bar, if so equipped, your gutter brooms, front axle around your head, inside your head, as well as inside your hopper. We've also equipped this spray system with a restriction indicator on it. We've got a little Y strainer on here that filters the water prior to the water going to the pump. All right. If this filter becomes 60% restricted, it's going to pop that restriction indicator and turn that water system off and put a loud, both an audible and visual alarm on the cab until the operator gets out and cleans this Y strainer and resets that restriction indicator. So what that does, it protects the head of that pump. When we did that, we saw the life expectancy of our pumps triple. So big plus there. We've got our water spray bars here. We've got Peter Paul type solenoids, which you've got an individual solenoid for every portion of the sweeper's water. So you don't have to turn it all on. You turn on which particular water you need to kill that fugitive dust, okay? If the nozzles, the solenoids do clog, you loosen up the top nut, pull it off, unscrew the post, clean it, put some WD-40, put it back on, and you're right back in business. I've seen some of these solenoids on some machines that had up 8, 9, 10,000 hours with the original set of solenoids. They last. There's also an air purge system. Winter rolls around, get in the sweeper, turn on all your water switches, come back with an air chuck, hit it to this Schrader valve. It'll blow all the water out of the head of the pump and all the lines, keeping you from having any freezing damage of the sweeper. Last, there is a low pressure, high volume washdown system. This will give you 5.88 gallons a minute at about 60 PSI, similar to the same water flow you'd get out of a water nozzle on the side of your house. You can hook a water hose to that, use that to clean out your suction tube, use it to clean up on your screens when you're in the field and you may get it packed with mud. Right gutter broom, just like the left, got the choice of the pneumatic controls or the regular spring controls, variable speed, in-cab tilt, as well as in-cab gutter broom extension override, okay? One thing that we don't have on the sweeper that you need to know about is we've got an optional high pressure washdown system with or without a 50-foot hose reel. It's going to come with a 1,500 PSI hydraulically driven pump that puts out 5 gallons a minute. It basically gives you similar to a car wash. So that is available. Most of the time, a lot of customers who get the hand hose are going to use the sweeper to clean out a lot of their catch basins. They'll use that high pressure washdown system back whenever they're down cleaning the catch basins. Okay? Any questions?
Is the high-pressure wash system compatible with the short wheelbase?
It is.
Question is?
Yes. The question is the high pressure washdown system compatible with the short wheelbase? Yes, it is compatible. That system on the wider 184 with the big water tank, we'll put it on the platform that's over on the street side. On the 164, we're able to put it right here in between the cab and the sweeper frame itself. Okay? Any other questions?
Does the Geo system control the brooms independently, or they?
So the question was, does the Geo system, the gutter broom extension override, control the system independently? Yes, sir. Each gutter broom is controlled independently. So you have the ability to, say you're sweeping down a curb line and you've got say a 10-foot wide path where you're sweeping past 12 feet with both brooms out, but you put that left broom out and you're into traffic, you can bring that left broom in, get inside that traffic line or in that line of debris to where you're not sticking something out, you're going to be able to hit it. So yeah, you can control them independently. You can bring that one in 3 inches, this one in 5, or vice versa. Okay? It's not just in or out like Timco. Timco is either a full extension or a full retract, because they do it hydraulically and we do it electrically. That answer every question?
What about Elgin?
Elgin has a drop-down system too, similar to Timco.
But you have to set the width with pins outside.
Right. You have to set them with pins.
So it's mechanical.
So mechanical.
Correct.
That's correct.